G'day there, James here. And I want to tell you how the last time I went to court, I didn't identify as the legal fiction that the magistrate was trying to ensnare me to be enjoined to, and I clearly stated that I was James the Traveller, a private and individual man, separate to this legal fiction, and how the magistrate kicked me out, and that was the end of the story. And it was a brilliant win in my books. So the last time I went to court, it was approximately February 2023. And this was, I think, the 27th time I'd been to court in Australia along the Gold Coast, well, in Queensland, in a period of about a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. I'd been many times for lots of different reasons. And it's also interesting that all those times I went, they never mentioned once anything about fines, tons of speeding fines unpaid from Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland. I would have had at least $50,000 worth of fines. Now I don't bat an eyelid if I get any of those fines because it's literally just ink on paper, nothing to warrant a fear response from. To understand what this court case was about, because it was for suspended license, and I just walked in, said who I was, and the magistrate kicked me out a couple of minutes later. I need to give you a bit of backstory from the previous court case I had to really grasp what's going on here and how what I did worked for me. I can't say it's going to work for everyone, but it worked quite well for me. Well, it worked perfectly, actually. Well, it could work better if I didn't even go to court. That would be a touch-up, and that would be the future goal. And to summarize what happened was suspended license, go into court, I don't identify as a legal name, I get kicked out, there's no repercussions. They didn't even want to fine me. Nothing at all. Left me alone, left my car alone, left my bank account alone. It was a total win. Let's go to a court case before that, and I'd bought my van. I bought it in New South Wales, and it had New South Wales plates on it, and I didn't get a transfer or anything. I think I sent some dickhead, part of one of their government organisations, a letter saying that I was now the owner of it. I sent that letter, obviously didn't hear anything back. And I just left these New South Wales plates on. And then I was in a car park on the Gold Coast and some female cops came over and they cracked the shits because that New South Wales plates had been unregistered for like 800 days. So then they said they have the legal right to take those plates now. So they took those plates and then I just put cardboard plates on with that same New South Wales number on because I didn't know what else to do at the time. I was just experimenting. So I had the cardboard plates on. I went to Burleigh Heads, left my van outside, parked, and went to my girlfriend at the time's place overnight. Came out, my cardboard plates had been stolen. And like, bloody hell, it must be the cops again. Okay, I'll just put new cardboard plates. I really didn't know what to do at that point. So I just did the same thing, jumped in the van. Literally 1 minute later, the cops pulled me over. Yeah, the cops attacked me and headlocked me. I actually thought I was going to die. That was a pretty cool experience. I was like, cool, all my preparation for leaving this world is coming to a head right now because he absolutely choked the fuck out of me. But anyway, I know how to deal with police now where they don't attack you because I actually dealt with that same cop who almost killed me 3 months later and he didn't lay a hand on me. He said his thing and then they left and then I drove away. Anyway, coming back to this story. Yeah, so the cops attacked me, threw me on the ground, blah, blah, blah. And then I've gone to court for that. And whenever you go to court, they always just want you to attach to the name and then they want to know you're guilty, not guilty, and there's 1,000 different ways you can go about your court case. But I wanted to test something and just say, no, I'm countercharging for attempted murder, for kidnap, for assault, for all this stuff, which was just the truth. And they think it's silly and whatever. So I got the footage and I went to court. You have to go lots of time. Anyone who's gone to court, you know how long they drag it out. They drag it out over months and months and months and keep going back in because they're just testing you. They want to say, have you broken yet? Have you broken yet? Have you broken yet? Are you just going to say guilty and let us fucking rape you and do what we want with you? Or are you going to keep fighting and say, no, I am sovereign, motherfuckers. You are not going to have dominion and authority over me. And that's what I was doing. And so it goes to trial. Magistrate gives me plenty of time to write out my questions and I'm just interrogating these cops and you just find out they've got no intelligence, they've got no empathy, they're just dumb androids, just biological AI technology. At the end of the case, the magistrate still said, well, I can see that you've got a good character, but yeah, you're guilty. You're guilty, and so I'm going to fine you this much money, $1,000 or something, and going to suspend your license for a month. That was the punishment. And I'd already told him I don't use a driver's license and I don't drive. I travel. That was hilarious. I mean, you can't say that. It's a bloody pain in the ass because they say, well, how did you move your van? Tell me exactly what you did. And you're like, well, I got to put the key in and I turn it, then I put it into gear. And it's just, nowadays I'd just say, yeah, I drive, but I'm not a driver. Because one is a adjective or a verb, driving. Sure, I can do that, but I'm not a driver. That's a noun. And a noun changes your title, changes your status. And a lot of their law is to do with status. You don't want to put yourself into a status where they can control you. It's like you can be a race car. Well, you can hire a race car and race it around the track. You can race car drive. Doesn't make you a race car driver, does it? You can go play golf. Doesn't make you a golfer. So you can drive your car, doesn't make you a driver, because obviously, well, maybe not obviously how new you are to studying this concept of legality and law and all their subjective legislation and just legal fictions. Their legislation is only written for things. And I mean actual things, like legal fictions, not men and women, but things, corporations, instruments, agents of the state, public utilities, trust estates, everything that's not a fucking man or woman. That's what all their legislation is written for. And I'll get into more detail how you can use negative veheement to combat that stuff in another video. The best tool I've ever come across, negative veheement. The courts wanted to fine me, and I said, well, I can't afford that. It was $1,000 or something. The thing is, even if I was a billionaire, I'd still say I can't afford to fund terrorism, because what else are you doing if you pay those fines apart from funding terrorists? That's what you're doing. I'm not going to give money to the hell and Satan demon bloody charity. No, thank you. So I said I can't afford it, and she made it a couple $100 cheaper for the fine, and I didn't say I accepted that, anything like that. I just said I can't afford it once. She said the rest of her stuff and then said, okay, case dismissed, or case finalized, whatever, and I walked out, and I jumped in my van and kept driving straight away. But so unfortunate, just these things happen. I was in Caboolture, actually, in Queensland, visiting my mum and sister the next day, and there was like a checkpoint, but it wasn't police, it was just council workers that were doing some car inspection, and stupidly I drove through it. Now I have learnt you do not drive through those checkpoints. You fucking do a U-turn, you go around. It's not worth the hassle. Like, even if you are using their slavery bloody license and rego and stuff, it's just not worth the hassle, worth the risk. It's like if you're walking through the woods, you see a fucking bear, just cross to the other side of the river. Why risk walking past the violent bear? Just don't do it. It's stupid. It's fucking stupid. That passion and anger is aimed at myself, because I got myself into another predicament there, but I learned something from it. Anyway, those council workers ended up calling the police who were patrolling up that road, because, you know, they work together, those gang members. Yeah, he wanted me to go to court again. So I had another court case. And because the cop, he's looked at the legal fiction name, because it just ended up giving him the legal fiction name. Though I said, that's not me, you know, that's the legal fiction name I have. But I'm obviously James the Traveller. That's my chosen name. I make a whole video about the different chosen names, family names, given names, surnames, etc. He's like, you just had a court case yesterday and you got a suspended license. You can't drive. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, all right. So anyway, then a couple months later, I decided to email the courts and tell them they made a mistake and try to get them to cancel the court case before I even needed to go in person to the case, but they didn't reply, and I just didn't go to the date, and then they put a warrant out for me, and because I was living in my van parked in a public car park overnight, that's just how I lived, and fuck, it was awesome. It was so good, apart from the police and council bloody harassing me once a month or so. That was a pain in the ass. The rest of living in a van was almost like the perfect lifestyle. Fucking so good. Just that freedom of travel and everything. Sleeping overnight, cops came and harassed me because at that point I had private plates on. I'd sorted out the private plates, and I had proper metal looking private plates, and they looked professional, and I'd registered it to a PMA, a private members association that I'd created, and I had it on a website, and I'd had, well, still got my private ID with, I had a QR code, and you can scan it, goes to this website. So it's you know, in the public now. It's people can access it, and I had it laminated on a piece of paper, a registration certificate that I had the car registered to my PMA and all laminated, and show the cop that. But he's like, oh, we don't care about this. That's silly. No. And he goes, you've got a warrant out, because I gave him all my paperwork, but eventually he found the VIN number. So that's what I'd do next. I'd get rid of the VIN number. Well, actually, no. I'd tell them the legal fiction, because they're not going to leave you alone until they get the legal fiction name. But you just got to make it clearly distinct who you are, and that the legal fiction is not you. You have a legal fiction, and you're the user of it. Actually, I need to study up again how exactly you use that, but it's your legal instrument, and you use it, but you are definitely not it. They arrested me and fucking... Oh, actually, no, they didn't arrest me. They just put me in the van and then took me to the station. So I guess it's kind of arrest, just there was no handcuffs, which was nice. I didn't get attacked or thrown on the ground. So, yeah, in my many interactions with police since Aegis and the other cop, I can't remember his name, who, yeah, assaulted me, almost fucking killed me. I haven't been physically attacked by police since then, and that's bloody brilliant. That's a great step in the right direction. But yeah, they locked me up overnight, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. That's just because I didn't go to court for that warrant and couldn't sort it out via email beforehand. Just my email obviously wasn't good enough. You know, maybe I'd be able to write it better nowadays. I'd have to test and find out. Hopefully I don't need to, but I probably will. Yeah, had some video link caught in the watch house in Southport along the Gold Coast. And the magistrate basically said, what are you doing? You're pleading guilty, not guilty? And I just said, well, not guilty. Not guilty of this. Because how could I say guilty? I feel no fucking guilt for what I've done. Anyway, I'll talk about that another time. Too many good topics to talk about. Moving forwards, it was maybe a couple weeks later or something the court date was, and so I ended up going to court. I'd prepared a little thing just going to say I was the administrator of the estate of the legal fictions estate, and I was just James the Traveller, private man. Anyway, I go into court, and they wait till everyone else has gone to the courtroom. If you've ever done this, you know what they do, because they don't want the muggles in the courtroom watching what you're doing. So they make you wait for ages, wait till no one else is in the room, then they get you in. He goes, Mr. last name, the legal all caps name. I go, hi there, magistrate, I hope you're well. I'm actually James the Traveller. I'm here as a peaceful, honourable private man, something along those lines. I'm just here to settle this case. And he asked me again, and then I said the same thing. And then he goes on this big, long rant. He had a prepared piece of paper that he read for like 2-minute speech, just trying to intimidate me and he's just saying, you're a fucking idiot. All your bullshit is bullshit. That's basically what he said. And so that didn't throw me off course. I was just like, okay, magistrate, I don't know why you said any of that. As I said, I'm just a peaceful man here to settle this case. That's all I'm here to do. Not here to cause any trouble like you're trying to accuse me. But basically I said hardly anything, because he'd just cut me off again, and he'd just say, last time, are you the legal fiction name? He did it 3 times over the course of maybe 4 or 5 minutes after he'd done his little ramble. And I said, no, magistrate, as I told you, I'm James the Traveller. He just goes, get out. Just points at me, points at the door, get out. I said, okay. Just grabbed my stuff and walked out. And I was like, fuck, that was bloody easy. That was fantastic. I actually called up the police station as well afterwards, because I hadn't gone to court and there was that warrant situation and all that, which, yeah, I don't advise doing, because I don't know a way to get around that. So if they want you to go to court unless you can figure out how to communicate with them beforehand to get them to not want you to go to court, then go to court, because that's the only thing I've had problems with, is the warrant of not going to court. All the fines, all that other stuff. For me personally, I didn't seem to give a fuck. Whatever. What I'm saying there is they wanted me to check into the police station a couple times a week for those couple weeks until this court date. So I'd been doing that, and then I go to court, he tells me to get out, and then I call up the police station afterwards. I say, hey, the magistrate wasn't very clear. I just want to know if you have any requirements of me. Do you want me to do anything, or is the case done? And they say, oh, no, it looks all good to us. Everything's finalised. I was like, okay, fucking fantastic. And because it was the whole court date was for that suspended licence again, which I'd had that previous case with those 2 cops who'd attacked me. That was about no license, no rego, fucking cardboard plates, the no insurance, resisting arrest, all that crap. I'd had all that, was found guilty. They said you can't drive, and then the next day you get pulled over by a cop again, you got to go to court again, and then I do that, it gets me kicked out, I call up the police station, ask if there's anything I got to do, and they say, nah, it's all good. Not even a fine, not even a threat of a fine, nothing. And I was like, wow, that's fantastic, okay. And at that point in time, I wanted to go travelling overseas, thus James the Traveller. So, and I was a little bit dubious. I was like, okay, is my passport going to work? Is there going to be any problems here? But no problems whatsoever. So that was a huge win. I'm very proud of. And I think what had happened in that specific situation, it's just that I wasn't identifying as the legal name, so he couldn't get any kind of binder. And obviously it is going to differ between magistrate and magistrate on how they actually handle it. So there's probably a little bit of luck there as well. And obviously the way I was handling myself, I wasn't rude or contemptuous or anything like that. I was just peaceful, honourable, neutral. I wasn't positive and I wasn't negative in my mannerisms. It was just very neutral, so that energy can't connect if you're neutral, like you're an earthing, you're a grounding. It's an interesting concept. I hope that experience helps you in some way or another. All right, hope you've enjoyed. Bye-bye.